Molweni, Sanibonani, Dumela, Awashini, hello everybody, and welcome back to African Xhosa ASMR. So you already saw the title. Let's get right straight into today's video. Today's case is about the disappearance of Zephany nurse. Who is Zephany? How did she disappear? Why was she the target? Was she ever found? What happened to her family as well as her during the course of her disappearance? Why? Today we will try to tackle all these questions. Zephany nurse was born on the 28th of April in 1997, Cape Town, South Africa. When Zephany was only just 3 years old, her mother, Celeste nurse, remembers seeing someone wearing a nurse's uniform in the maternity ward approaching her, and this person started comforting her. During the course of this encounter, her newborn baby was sleeping in a cot nearby. Zephany's mother then went to sleep. When she woke up from her nap, she remembers nurses asking her, "Where is your baby? Where is your baby?" And that was the moment when she realized that her child, in fact, her newborn baby, had been taken. The hospital then immediately contacted local authorities. The police came and started looking for Zephany all around the hospital, hoping and praying that they will find Zephany or at least get clues to what might have happened to her. Unfortunately, they did not find Zephany that day. But however, they discovered a pillow, and it was assumed that this pillow could have been used to fake a pregnancy, because no one would think to question what a pregnant lady is doing in a maternity ward. 5 days after Zephany was born, Zephany's mother went back home without holding her daughter in her hands. When she got back home, she was hoping that this was all just a dream, or that someone was pulling some sort of a sick prank on her, and that person would eventually soon enough bring her daughter back home. But this was all a reality. Every year, the Ness family would celebrate Zephany's birthday on the 28th of April in order to keep the search for their daughter alive on the media. Zephany's mother would also conduct interviews and also assist other mothers who had experienced similar situations with kidnapping of their children, and she would also comfort them. Zephany's family would get hopes that their daughter will soon be reunited with them. One time, a person realized that they had never seen their neighbor pregnant, but now the neighbor is having a newborn baby. This person then decided to contact the police. The police then came to investigate the neighbor in question. The baby in question did resemble Zephany, but however, it was a baby boy, which meant that there is no way that it could have been Zephany. 12 years went by and the nurse family was still not reunited with their child. In 2009, the nurse family received a random phone call from an anonymous number, and on the other end of the call was a lady who whispered and said, "I know about your daughter. I know about your daughter." And then this lady went on to say that if they want this information, they should pay her 500,000 rands. At the time, 500,000 rands was equivalent to, or just round about, 70,000 US dollars. The person said that they should drop this money in a pre-arranged location. The nurse family agreed. Afterwards, they immediately contacted the police. The police then went to the location and they were monitoring their exchange. No one showed up to pick up the money. The police then decided to track the number that called the nurse family. The number was traced to a lady called Glenda. Glenda was Zephany's grandmother's neighbor, or Glenda was Celeste's mother's neighbor. Glenda was then charged with extortion, and she was given 3 years house arrest, and she was fined 5,000 South African rands and got 600 hours of community service. Once again, years have gone by, and Zephany was now 17 years of age. Celeste and her husband had a younger daughter called Cassidy. Cassidy and Zephany were 4 years apart. Cassidy was younger than Zephany. Zephany was a senior in high school, and Zephany was starting at the high school Zephany goes to. Their houses were about 5 kilometers away from each other. When Cassidy started high school, there were people who would go to Zephany, and Zephany now goes by the name of Michelle Solomon. The people who know Michelle Solomon went to her and said that there is this new kid at school who looks just like her, and the resemblance was uncanny. They could be sisters or twins. They look so identical to each other. Zephany, or Michelle Solomon, then met up with Cassidy one day. They soon had an immediate connection, like they had known each other for years. There was just this random bond between the two of them, and they instantly became friends, more like sisterly friends. They were referring to each other as big sister, little sister, and they were very good friends, and they would go out together, and they would even take pictures together as well. And then Cassidy went back home and told her parents that there is this senior in high school that everybody keeps telling her that they look alike, they could be sisters. Are they sisters? Like, what is happening? Because they look so identical. And one day, Cassidy was out with Michelle, otherwise known as Zephany, and their father was outside the cafe where they were spending time, and he saw them together. Instantly he realized that there's no way that is my long lost daughter, because he kept looking at her and saw her mannerism, the way she was laughing, the way she was carrying herself, the way she was speaking, even her voice. She sounded just like his wife, Celeste. So he contacted the police officer who had been working on the disappearance of Zephany, the case, and he informed him about this incident. Zephany was then pulled out of class, and she was then questioned, and they asked her if she knows about Zephany Nurse, a girl who disappeared in 1997. And they were even asking her, is she Zephany Nurse? And she said she knows nothing about Zephany Nurse. She is not Zephany Nurse. She is Michelle Solomon. And they started questioning her about her birth, where she was conceived, and she mentioned the name of the hospital, and they went to check on the records of the hospital, and they found out that there is no record of her being birthed from that hospital. And they then interrogated her mother, Lavine Solomon, and Lavine said after questioning her, they asked her to provide proof of birth, and she could not provide proof of birth. And then a DNA test was carried out to see if Michelle Solomon was Lavine Solomon's daughter, or if she was Celeste Nurse's daughter. The DNA results came back, and they confirmed that Michelle Solomon was 100% Zephany Nurse, and that Celeste Nurse was her mother, and Cassidy Nurse was in fact her sister. Then the Department of Social Services then came and took Zephany Nurse, otherwise known as Michelle Solomon, into their custody or protection. Celeste Ness was given permission, or in fact the whole Ness family was granted rights to visit Zephany. According to Zephany, she was confused as into what was happening, because according to her, she had a normal childhood. She had an amazing childhood. She never questioned the paternity of her, or whether her parents were really her parents, because everything seemed normal. What was happening in her mind was that I want to go back home. I want to go back to the mother I know. I have no connection to the Ness family. I have connection with the mother who raised me, and that's Levine Solomon. And she wanted to go back to her parents that she knew, which is the Solomon family. But however, she could not see them. She then asked what happened to her mother now that this is happening. And she was told that her mother had been arrested. And she said that she felt sorry for her mother. Yes, she was angry to some extent, but above all, she was angry that she got found. She was asking herself, why was I found? Because I had an amazing life. I mean, it was not perfect, but I was not abused. I was not taken advantage of. So it was just a normal childhood. And she believed that the life that she had was a normal life, and she does not have any idea what would have happened if she was raised by the Ness family. She doesn't really know them. And she also stated that she had forgiven her mother who had kidnapped her and the mother who raised her, and she understands that the society could be mad at her, and she understands that her biological parents were robbed, of the chance to actually bond with their child. And when she was asked if she wanted to see them, she then said yes, because she felt like she owed it to them to see them, since her mother who raised her took her away from her birth parents. Upon meeting the biological parents, she stated that the biological parents started weeping or crying, and however, she did not feel anything because she does not know them. But because she understood or had an idea of what it would have felt like to lose your child all these years, she faked it and pretended like, they are all on the same page. But in the back of her mind, she wanted to go back home to the Solomon family. They have been reunited with together, the Ness family and Michelle. She prefers the name Michelle instead of Zephany, because that's the name she grew up using. And Michelle now stays with her Solomon family. She stays with her father. Now, in terms of her mother, Levine Solomon, explaining what happened, Levine states that she was pregnant and she had a miscarriage. And since she had a miscarriage, there was this person called Sylvia, and she was working in a fertility related institute, and came to her and said, here is a baby, and presented the baby to her in a form of some kind of adoption. And she never questioned anything. She just took the baby and raised the baby as her own. Her husband has not been arrested. Levine Solomon was arrested, and she was charged and sentenced to 10 years behind bars. Zephany wrote a book about all the experiences she went through throughout this whole entire process, and the book is titled Zephany, Two Mothers, One Daughter, an Astonishing True Story. So if you are interested, you can buy the book online to find out more information of what happened during the course of all this. And I can't even begin to imagine what was going through her parents, her biological parents' mind when their daughter was taken. And going to bed at night and waking up in the morning and spending the rest of your day not knowing where your child is. Are they safe? Are they not? Are they alive or not? Are they having a good life? Are they not? Like, where are they? What is happening in their life? That is beyond. I can't even begin to imagine having to go through that for 17 years. The nurse's family empowered a lot of other families going through the same unfortunate event of having their child taken away from them. And this just motivated other families that at least maybe someday they will also be reunited with their children. And I hope and pray that families get closure, families affected by such events, because we live in a dark and twisted world. And I pray and send all my love to the families affected, that they find or get the answers they are looking for. And that is going to be it for today's video. Ulalika kuhle, ndizakubona kwixesha elizayo. Goodbye.